God has been throughout my life. He's never gone away. I, veered, but he has never strayed. It was last August, I was diagnosed with cancer. And as a nurse practitioner, this is uncool, okay? Because you're supposed to prevent those things, And they told me that I had stage 4 breast cancer, and I'm going, that can't be, because I do breast exams all the time. Well, there's no masses, but you're fortunate because it's stage 4. You skipped 1, 2, and 3. I thought, how is that fortunate? Because your days are numbered. And this is coming from God. This is coming from God. Not that he caused it, but he allowed me to slow down enough because I wanted to be in charge. Oh my gosh, I had retired. I had things I was going to accomplish. So much stuff I was going to do. So much stuff. But that's exactly what I needed to get into that spot of not having control. God's right there and he's in charge. So what is the worst thing that can happen? Hello? Heaven? That's not a bad thing. The new earth, the new heaven, excuse me. Why do we hang on to earth so much, Yes, it's comfortable, it's what I know, but that is so much better. And that's the season I'm in right now, is just rejoicing and taking not for granted that I've given one more day. So that's my joy.
Recently, I've grown a lot. I was right at the end of Proverbs 31. We had just finished the no complaining rule, and I had a couple minutes to myself alone, which doesn't happen very often, and I looked over and on the counter was the rubber band. Anytime we complain, you wear the rubber band, and it's quite large. There's a lot of elasticity, so it's a good snap. So a little backstory is that I think that week we found a bed bug infestation. Of course, Matt Lingo shared when he was preaching that God has other plans. And it was quite humorous to me that for that week, spring break week, when we found the bed bug infestation, I had other plans for that week, and it did not include insects. It was totally a God thing, but he kind of helped me to see more of the silver lining. And then it got me to think about my mom, and she doesn't complain a whole lot. And she has a lot to complain about right now, or she could, but she doesn't. There's really so much to be grateful for.
I remember telling her once, when she was diagnosed, I thought I need to tell her how important she has been to me. And I just felt like I had, if I waited, it was going to be too late. And so I told her, she has been so instrumental in my life. Her attitude, her kindness, she was just so sweet, and I think it's important that we understand everyone that we come in contact with, we can have an influence on. And we don't understand that, God knows.
In regards to legacy, I would like Jen to remember that these kids are only, they're only small just for a short time. It just seems like it is eons of time before they are actually responding to you as a parent and are doing what you're asking them to do. They're obedient. But the time is so short. Forget some of the busy stuff. Heaven forbid it be fast food and then spend time with the kids. Every moment is a teachable moment. And that's the part that's so cool, is that their minds are just constantly open and constantly looking at creation, and you have so many moments that you can spend. That would be what I would focus on.
A memory that I remember that I'm going to treasure for a long time was every year, it was tradition, every year we would go down to my grandmother's house, and every Easter without fail we would load up on water balloons. And the dads, uncles would get at the front end of the house and launch water balloons at the kids. It was just fun. We loved it. We just would go back and forth. It was probably a good hour or two of just back and forth water balloon fighting. And then of course you'd then come and collide, and there was a lot of water action towards the end, bruising and crying, but it was always fun. We always enjoyed it.
I remember a family time of all of us getting together, my brother-in-law and his 2 kids and wife, and we would get together with them at Easter. On Easter Day, we'd all be dressed up to the hilt, and they're all girls, my 3 girls, her 2 girls, and we'd be all dressed up with curls and absolutely gorgeous, taking the photos and doing the Easter egg thing. And then within about 20 to 25 minutes, that's all we gave for photos. And then after that, they immediately put on their bathing suit or shorts, whatever, and we started to launch water balloons. And then these little kids would be trying to dodge the water balloons. And so it was a big hit. It was a big hit. And we did that until the kids were probably 15. Yeah, and then it got to be like all out war. And this is all at my the grandparents, my in-laws' house. So if you got one in the smacker and stuff, then you just roll it off, you know, just shake it off, get a balloon and hit Dad, you know, and yeah, it worked out great.
I remember the most about Proverbs 31 was, he loves me, he loves me, he loves me. And I have family who loves me, but it's not the same. God's love, it just means everything. It fuels you, because I just became very thirsty. I felt like I couldn't get enough. I wanted to get into every Bible study I could possibly get into because I needed to be in the Word, and I wanted to know for myself, not from other people. You know, I wanted God's truth. That was huge.
Bring God into everything, because He is everywhere. And only when they see that their heart needs to come under God's control, not Mama's control eventually, but under God's control, then you know that that person, that little child, can eventually become a full-blown, wonderful follower of Jesus, and not just a clone that we have that, you know, is obedient while we're in sight. And then as soon as we're out of sight, you know, what will be? What will happen?
Recently, I've had a lot of time to think about what I want my kids to know. I grew up in a small Christian school, learned a lot about who God was, but it was head knowledge. For me, the heart knowledge didn't happen until later on. It wasn't until Proverbs 31 where I had this aha moment, and it's really deepened my love for who God is and who I am in God and who He says I am. And so as a result, it's kind of started this journey of wanting my children to know more about who He is and be able to know who they are in Christ and be able to know His Word to then apply it. So in everything that we do, there's always scripture that helps us along in the process. But for me, growing up, I didn't know that you could apply it, which sounds so strange. But at the time, there was just a disconnect between head and heart. And so I think I want that the most for my kids.
For the legacy of my grandchildren, I would like them to know that God is everywhere. He is all-knowing, all-loving, all-forgiving, but that they need to be obedient. To spend more time reading the Bible and about the stories in there, because it's all about real people. They need to know that they can take that and pick up the Bible anytime and know that their answers are right there. Their guidance is right there, whether Nana's here or not. I would want the grandkids to know that you cannot grow in your faith unless you get out there and try something. If they don't serve, they can't grow. If they don't test God in financial things, how are they going to know that God is faithful? That's when our faith grows. Not just in a nice little bubble and everything is working out good and I'm in charge and I can fix all things. It's hard for faith to grow. But when we're testing it, like tithing, that for us, that was huge. That was huge. It was not easy for that tiny season. But if I hadn't have just said, we're going out on faith, we're going to test God, He came through every single time. But only if you say, I yield myself and I let God do it. Then He gets all the honor and the glory. So that's what I would tell the kids, my kids, but also the grandkids, that you need to serve, not to be waited on, but to be serving. Because once you're serving, then you see the heart of other people. It's not about you, it's about serving.
It makes me realize that it's really important that we keep God first in our lives and that we pour out to others, to our daughters, to our granddaughters, to our families, and to our friends, our church communities, the women in our ministries, even women who are not believers, because it's a seed.
Mom, if there's one thing there's probably not just one thing, but ways that you have changed me and shaped me. I roll my eyes really well. I can laugh. I think that's really the biggest thing, is that we laugh all the time. Laugh because life is too hard and too serious to not be able to laugh. And I'm crying right now. I think the other thing that I really haven't realized until I've gotten older is your go-get-em kind of attitude towards life. And I think about when you attended Sungrove. You guys hadn't lived here for more than a week, maybe a couple weeks, and you just dove in. I'm here, how can I serve? And that really speaks volumes to me, and I know to a lot of other people. I think about your positivity and your just the way that you eat up life. There's ways that you could really just be down and you choose not to be, and I really appreciate that. Your love for the Word, your love for imparting that Word onto my children, your love for my children. I just appreciate you more now than I did when I was younger. And I love you. Thank you, Mom.
We all go through a journey, a time of growth and a time of walking away. A time of growth, and that is when I just got on fire for the Lord. Yeah.